Hi, I'm Dr. Keith Johnson. It is my understanding and my conviction that you and I have been made with a purpose, that we were created by God with a reason to be created, and that you have a reason for being on this earth, and that God has a plan for you that wants to fill that gap in His creation that you can fill. And that's one of the reasons that you exist. Now, you don't have to believe that. You don't have to go along with it. You don't have to believe you have purpose. There are many people in this world who do not believe they have a purpose and are willing to believe that for some reason they can't accomplish what it is that they ought to be doing. And yet in their hearts, they know that there is some reason they ought to be living. There is some reason for them to exist. And you know in your heart that there must be some reason for you to continue to live, and that God has a plan for your life. Now, you may not know what that plan is, or you might have trouble trying to figure it out, but the fact of the matter is, you have a plan for your life, and you will spend your life wondering sometimes where that plan is and how that plan works. But even more important than that, you will be filling a gap when you can, and if you do, find that purpose. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who decide not to look for the purpose. They decide there's no reason for them to exist. Or they get tired looking, they get discouraged because things don't seem to work out right for them, and they want to blame somebody else. They don't want to blame themselves for the mistakes they've made, or for their insistence on ignoring the purpose for which they were built. And so what we do is we forget and ignore and live our life as if we had no purpose. Yet in your heart, you know that you have a reason for living. Pascal said that every man has a heart-shaped vacuum that can only be filled with God's purpose. Finding God's purpose for your life is not easy, but intentional, and gives you a space in which to be going. It gives you a target to hit. It gives you a place to put your arrow. It gives you a reason to be moving ahead and finding some purpose for your life, which sometimes we want to ignore out of laziness, out of our refusal to be responsible, out of our greed, out of our willingness to give to our lusts. And who cares what kind of lusts they are? We just want to yield to our lusts and what it is that we think we can accomplish by ourselves, with ourselves, and greedily and selfishly to ourselves. And that's a mistake. None of us were built just to live selfishly. And none of us were built just to carry out what we want greedily. And none of us were built just to look for those greedy things that make us rich, or build us class, or give us approval from other people, although those are easily things we want to shoot for. Living with a purpose is the best way of attaining the things you desire and to succeed your values so that your vacuum is filled. And you have a heart-shaped vacuum that can only be filled as you have a reason to go where you need to go. You're looking for an endeavor. You're looking for a reason to start and a reason to finish. And that gives you an in-between gap with things to do and reasons to be going where you are. Usually, you want to be a mother or father for a reason. You want to have some children. You want to raise those children, have a family. We're built to need sustenance, and so we seek, in order to take care of ourselves, some kind of place where we can get supply. And that is satisfactorily settled when we find something we enjoy doing. One of our biggest problems is we don't enjoy what we do, and so we go on trying to make the money, trying to make things work, and we don't seem happy with it because of that. You have a need to be fulfilling the purpose of your life for which you're looking, and you can't stop looking or be satisfied until you locate that purpose. And although that's not easy to do, it's the essence of your existence. It's the reason you want to live. It's the purpose for which you're trying to find something that makes sense to you, something that gives you a reason to strive towards some purpose. You're hoping that somehow you can enable and appreciate your journey to success, and what you consider success is not what anybody else considers success. A lot of people like greed, a lot of people like money, a lot of people like class, a lot of people like approval. But those by themselves are not enough. You want satisfaction in your heart and life to know what you've accomplished. And all of us are different. All of us have different desires for what we do and what we want to accomplish. And we're supposed to be different. We're supposed to have different purposes for different reasons to make everything in the work and the world work out for us. You can reach people, I can't. You can talk to people, I can't. You will meet people that I will never meet. And that means I can't fulfill your purpose. And you can't fulfill my purpose. There are people that I can talk to that you can't. There are people that I can reach that you can't. And you will never be able to reach those people because you weren't meant to reach those people. You have a specific personality with a specific way that fits, and you have certain things that you want to do, and it enables you to succeed in what you're doing. But you will never be able to fulfill my purpose, nor can I fulfill yours. And even if I detect that you're not filling your purpose, and therefore I should somehow step in there and try to help you, I will never be able to fill the purpose that you were meant to fill. I will never be able to fit in the plan that you were meant to be part of. And I can't fulfill that purpose by itself. You have talents that I don't have. You have a mindset that is different than mine. You find things funny in a different way. Your personality rests in certain things. There are things that you do that I cannot do. And there are things that you think that I cannot think. And there are personalities that do not fit together because we just don't like each other. We just don't like what each of us likes or enjoy. Even God made it clear. He said, my ways are not your ways. My thoughts are not your thoughts. That's why some people are not religious, because they can't listen to God. But once you understand a little bit of your purpose, once you've examined your temperament, once you've come to understand your talents, and once you've been able to figure out a little bit about what you're supposed to be doing and why you're here on this earth, then you start to work towards that understanding of life. My dad was a locksmith. He was a great locksmith. He was also a serviceman. I couldn't be a good serviceman or a locksmith. I just didn't like working with locks. It wasn't my calling. I wasn't meant to work with locks like Dad was. He could open a lock. He used to open safes in Chicago for banks downtown that needed his help immediately. And he was the only one that could open those locks. Dad was a hero to them. If they'd have called me to do it, we'd all be in trouble and somebody would be stuck in that safe dying because they couldn't breathe. I cannot open locks. I don't want to open locks. I wasn't meant to open locks. But my dad would not be on a video like this either. He didn't want to be on television. He didn't enjoy talking to people and giving a speech. I was made for that. I was made to teach you what I can, to guide you so that you will get to where you need to go. And because I know that, I anxiously try to help you find yourself. Part of my purpose, part of my reason for living, is to help you find what you're supposed to be doing. And what we're trying to do is get you to a stage and state where you can understand yourself, where you can understand your talents, and where you can understand your problems and how you're going to deal with them. You appreciate your journey, you try to understand what success is to you, and then you do your best to follow it as you can. Once you've received some success, once you've found a purpose, it increases your confidence, self-confidence, It helps you understand who you are. It keeps you focused on your abilities, and you don't have to sit around worrying about your shortcomings or the comments being made by you or somebody else who's telling you how you're just not doing what they want you to do. Once you learn what you're supposed to be doing, you focus on where you want to go and how you want to do it, and you focus to make sure that you carry out whatever your commitment and purpose has to be. That's true of all of us. All of us have different purposes, different reasons. Some of us are butchers and bakers. Some of us are drivers. Some of us are budget keepers, mathematicians, teachers, speakers. All of the world needs those things. And God has given you a chance to do those things. You just simply have to be willing to carry it out. Living with a purpose. Understanding you were here for a reason. Knowing the right steps it takes in months of thinking and realizing about your moves before you make them. You calculate who you are, what you're going to do, and when in the day you go through your life and you don't do those things, you feel unsatisfied, you're irritated, you're angry with yourself because you hadn't fulfilled your purpose. Making time for things that are in line with you, that make sense. Living with intentions entitles you to like what you're doing, the way you're doing it, and to see fit opposed to the way that others would do it, because it's your calling. It's your reason for living, and you know what you want to accomplish. So, once you've settled on yourself, once you've determined you know where you're going and what you're trying to do, you finally say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to set out and I'm going to work on my talents. I'm going to increase my studies and understand who I am and where I'm going so that I know what to do and how to make the world that needs to be made, the one that we're looking for, the one where you and I can both accomplish things, and by following our talents and our purpose, making the world a better place. That's what Jesus meant when he said, I have come that you might have life, and that you might have it more abundantly. The more abundant life is having a purpose and reason for living and carrying it out. Now your question is, how close are you to your purpose? How sure are you that what you're doing is exactly what God wants you to do? And how close can you get? Well, you can get closer than anybody else to your own purpose. Put yourself down and work towards that direction. Become who you need to be and keep working on it until you become who you ought to be. And it'll happen. And you'll be glad that it did, and it'll be time worth spent for you, for the people you deal with, for me, and for those of us that are trying to understand who we are and where we're going. That's why Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but by me. Go the way that Jesus guides you. Give him a chance to show you who you are and how your talents can go to his glory. You won't regret it, and neither will anybody else that knows you.